Hey guys, this is Fuad from beattweaks.com. In this video, I'm going to show you a little technique that I use to control the dynamics of different instruments in my songs. And it's a technique that I use to kind of, replace the use of compression and limiting so that I don't crush the sounds that I'm trying to process. And this technique works on a whole range of different instruments like synths, percussion, drums, vocals, you name it. It's a great little technique that works wonders and is really easy to do. Now, what I'm going to show you here, I have this song, it's not finished yet, and I want to demonstrate this technique on a pluck sound that I have. Now, plucks are known to be difficult to control in terms of dynamics, because usually when you have a pluck into your song, it starts off with the filter closed, so it's really plucky, it has a nice attack to it, and then it opens up into this big super saw synth. Now, here is the main problem. When the filter is closed off and it's an actual pluck, that pluck is really peaky and has a lot of sharp transients, and these sharp transients can eat up your headroom really fast. And we all know how difficult it is to make our songs louder or as loud as commercially released tracks that you hear from your favorite producers or record labels. So in order to make your entire song louder, you need to make sure that you're controlling the dynamics on your individual instruments. Okay, so let us get right to it. What I want to do is I'm just going to play this 8-bar loop here, and this pluck that I have here is playing with other instruments. So I'm going to play it with the rest of the instruments and then solo it, and then I'll go through how to use this technique and why it works. Okay, so as you can hear, it's a typical pluck sound that you hear in a lot of progressive house tracks and, a whole bunch of different genres. And as you can hear, it's a plucky kind of sound, and we want to control the dynamics of that. Now, the technique here involves using distortion, saturation, or harmonics to control the dynamics instead of compression and limiting. And the advantage of using distortion as opposed to compression is that distortion has two roles or two advantages. One is that it actually introduces harmonics to the sound, so it can make the sound, make it sound fuller and richer. And at the same time, distortion also reduces the dynamic range, so it actually reduces peaks and transients on the sound that you use it on. So as you can see here, I have a saturator on this pluck. Now, to demonstrate exactly what this plugin is doing, I'm going to switch over here, and we're going to go here to the pluck sound. And I'm going to play it with the saturator off. And we're going to take a look at this peak meter here, this bar here, and we're also going to take a look at this little number. And this little number, this value, displays the maximum peak of this sound. Okay, so I'm going to play the sound, and we're going to, just take a look at what this number is. Okay, so you can see that the maximum peak for this pluck sound goes up to minus 5.63 dB. And if you were paying attention to this meter here, the green bar that plays along with the instrument, you can see that there's quite a lot of dynamic range on this instrument, meaning that the loudest peak, there's a big difference between the loudest peak and the lowest peak for this instrument. That means that it's going to take up a lot of headroom, and you're going to need to use a lot of compression at the end when you're mastering to control these dynamics, and that means that you can crush the other instruments like your kick, your percussion. in order to control this one sound, and that's not what we want to do. Now what I want to do is I'm going to turn the saturator on, and then we're going to take a look at this meter and value again and compare and see what's going on. So you can see here how drastically this value changed. So we went from minus 5.6 dB all the way down to minus 17.4 dB. So that's about a 12 dB difference that we've seen here. So the difference between the saturator on and off is about 12 dB of headroom. So you've saved 12 dB. That's a 12 dB peak that you've reduced using the saturator. And at the same time, we did not crush the sound or distort it to the point where you can actually hear the distortion. And what I'm going to do now, so we can compare the sound before and after, just so I can prove to you that I'm not actually destroying the sound. I'm actually not making it louder, not making it lower. I'm not completely crushing it, yet it sounds just as loud with the saturator on and off. So I'm going to play the sound, I'm going to turn the plugin on and off, and we'll compare. So you can hear there's not really much of a difference in sound quality with this plugin on and off. But like I said, we've reduced those peaks and those transients quite a lot, and that's going to save us a ton of headroom, and it's going to save us from using a lot of compression and limiting to take care of this dynamic range. Now you might have noticed when you were listening to the before, with this on and off, that when the saturator is on, it kind of dulls the attack of the pluck just a little bit. And that's a natural thing. If you use compression, it's going to have a similar effect as well. Now, to counter this, keep in mind that when this pluck is playing with the rest of the instruments, you're not really going to hear that difference quite as much as you do here when you're listening to it on its own. So it's a compromise. I would rather save all of that headroom than just keep that little bit of extra attack on the pluck. I would really rather have that extra headroom so I can make my entire song louder than just this one little instrument. So you can use any distortion plugin that you like. You can use the one that comes with your DAW, or you can use a third-party distortion plugin. They pretty much all do the same thing. They just look a little different. They have different controls. But like I said, this is a wonderful technique that you can use on all kinds of different, all different types of instruments like synths, percussion, drums, basses, vocals, you name it. It's a great technique to control dynamic range and at the same time give character and warmth and richness to your sounds. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope you find that you can use this technique in your own productions. It's a great way to replace compression and limiting in a different kind of way. So if you have any questions or comments, please do let me know.